Good morning, fellow traders. It is now Monday, the 12th of January, 2026. I could say that we're off to a wonderful start. For those of you that are brand new to the broadcast, I wanted to remind you that every Saturday I do a trailing, a weekly summary of the work I've done and the results we had in my live accounts. So if you're interested in reviewing that, um, that's in the archives on every Saturday morning, and I send out the link. Worst case scenario, you can go to my YouTube channel and pick it up there. But I want to remind you that we started doing that this weekend, the 10th, and so the first one for the week is out there. But as I mentioned in there, I've got some good things happening here this week and next week that may affect my actual daily participation in the markets. So I may not have a broadcast for the 17th. I'm pretty sure I'll be back for the 24th, but I'll keep you posted on that. Bottom line is that I want to make sure that my performance is doing well, and in order to do that, I make time to be away from the markets when there's certain things that are serious that take time, effort, and focus away from trading. So when you've got, hey, listen, suppose, God forbid, you had somebody in your family pass away. You got to attend to those issues first, and that may mean that leaving positions on or trying to participate is just a pointless thing to do because there are things that are more important than markets and money. But in any case, what I'm trying to get at is that next week, this whole week, I'm getting some changes made to my accounts. Should make things a little more profitable for me and therefore you um, in the coming months. So I'm going to see how that plays out. I may or may not have positions active through the end of this week, but the week after we should be business as unusual, as normal. So, having said that, let's get today's quote up to get us rolling on today's Traders Daily Discipline and just get our week off to a really nice, firm, common sense oriented start, I think. Let us take things as we find them. Let us not attempt to distort them into what they are not. We cannot make facts. All our wishing cannot change them. We must use them. And that was John Henry Cardinal Newman, one of the giants in the Catholic faith, has become a saint. Um, Interesting guy from a lot of perspectives. He was part of the Church of England and then transferred to Catholicism. So, for any of you that might understand that conflict or that historical narrative, that's quite unique. So, what I like about this quote is how much common sense Cardinal Newman really had. Look at this. Let us take things as we find them, not let us attempt to distort them into what they are not. We cannot make facts. As traders, part of the problem that we bring to the table is that the way we view things, we think means they're factual. In other words, people have a world and life view that they have cultivated over time that they believe is accurate. Um, One of the biggest problems facing us as traders, we have on a regular basis, is when our world and life view produces a result that leads to a loss. Now, in a situation like that, when you've decided to make a trade based on the way you think you see things, and it's got to be right because you're right, you put a trade on and it loses, there can only really be one answer to that, and that is there's something wrong inside your head. Now, all your wishing can't change that, and that is a factual piece of evidence that suggests your world and life view is not going to make you any money. Now, why would you fight that? Why would someone say, I've done all my homework on such and such a market? Let's call it the grain market. And it's the spring coming up, and there's a seasonal thing that says that grain's going to always make a move higher in the spring. And here it is January, and I'm ready to go ahead and make that seasonal trade. And I'm going to buy wheat, corn, and soybeans across the board. And I'm going to go ahead and wait for that trade to make money by July. Because every year there's a threat of a drought. So there's a drought, there's no crop. No crop, prices probably increase. So every year it's a pretty good bet that prices will advance from January into July. Okay. Makes perfect sense. Now, where'd you get that world and life view? Where'd you get that thinking from? Well, it's common sense from your point of view. If there's no crop, then there's going to be a price rise. If then. Well, that might be true. From a fundamental point of view, that would make sense. But what if the rest of the world that trades grains doesn't have that point of view in their mind this year? What if they're concerned about other things? What if there's a political situation brewing somewhere in the world that means all of a sudden 2/3 of the exports that normally get sold aren't going to happen? Oh, never thought of that. What if the government passes a tax or suspends a tax? What if the government decides against a subsidy program or decides to initiate 5 times as many of them? Those are all fundamental things that might affect the grain market pricing, but nobody knows really if they're going to happen or not. So how can you trade on that? Wait until they happen? Yeah, that's probably true. Well, then what would happen to your world and life view if you constantly waited all the time for information you can't really wait for until it shows up? Means really what you're trading off of is probably just speculation, just ideas. Is that really something that'll benefit you? So now if this hypothetical trade you're trying to build and work on from a fundamental point of view that makes perfect sense in January, but something may come along that throws a monkey wrench in this, causing it not to work, and you can't understand why that would happen. There's no reason for that. Well, bottom line is that you start off January with your idea that you think it's going to work, and then by March you're losing money. So what do? Well, if you're like some people, you've got a price point, pain point, and you decide you're just going to get out. Other people double down. Other people say, well, it hasn't really played its way all out yet, so I'm going to go ahead and just wait. Okay. The point of the view is that the point I want you to handle is this, is that you have to trade based on the factual information that you really have access to. You can't form an opinion about what it means. You can't form an opinion about why it's important for longs versus shorts, or that if that's true, then A, B, C, D, and E must be true somewhere else as well, and therefore I'm going to do X. It's not necessarily a trading method that will work because it's based on your world and life view, not on an underlying understanding of what has created the market to begin with. All the open trades, the open orders, the people who are going to buy and sell, people who are at risk, the guy who can't afford to play but he's playing anyway. That guy's more scared than normal. I mean, all of the things that are happening inside the market that you don't have access to, that's creating your opportunity, you have to take that as you find it. Just because it makes perfect sense for the market to rise doesn't mean that's going to happen. So you get halfway through your trade and it's not happening. What are you wasting your time for? Move on to something else. You know, let us take things as we find them. Let us not attempt to distort them into what they're not. We cannot make facts. All our wishing cannot change them. We must use them. So let's look at your facts that you're working with and decide, are these really something that I can work? I mean, is this really real? I mean, what is it that I'm truly doing here today on Monday, the 12th of January, 2026? What is it that I'm really doing? Let me take these facts that I've got. Do I need to reevaluate some of this? Do I need to change some of my point of view on this? Does some of this need to go away? Does some of this waste my time? But in any case, the opportunity to win, it's out there. Are you digging for it in the right place? Are you looking for the information that's going to actually help you? Or are you taking your point of view on all of that, twisting it around till it makes sense inside your head, and then exposing yourself to risk based on that crazy point of view? So, guys, have a great start to the week. I will see you tomorrow on the 13th. And hopefully we'll have a weekly checkout to do on the 17th. But I'll keep you posted on these changes that I'm making as I ramp up for a new level of performance. Guys, have a fabulous day, and I'll see you next time.